Developer student clubs are university-based communities where students learn about Google technology and use their skills to solve local problems. Welcome to the Developer Student Club's 2020 Solution Challenge Demo Day.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jason Titus, and I'm so happy to be with you here from my home in Palo Alto, California. I've been so impressed with all the great projects that I've seen from the Google Developer Student Club community, from solving for mental health and emergency response support, all the way from universities in Germany, South Korea, Zimbabwe, and more. You've all made a great effort and had an impact in your community. I think that students have such an amazing opportunity and are so well placed to look at the problems that we have in our society, in our local communities, and figure out how to use technology to solve them. And I can think back to myself as a student and sort of how I got brought into the world of computers. And when I was 11, I learned to program and started working on building a bulletin board system that ran on something, an ancient computer like what you see here. And as I started putting it together and adding features, I saw that there was something magical that happened when you've got communities of people that had shared interests getting to come together and talk about them, even though they had never even met. And it really got me excited about what technology could do around creating community. And later on, when I went to university, I had a unique opportunity where I ended up working a job with University Recycling, where we had a Unix computer attached to the internet. In 1992, that was a pretty big deal. And so my friend and I one day saw that there was a new program released. It was called Gopher. And this predated the web, but it was the first system that had the concept that there was a menu of items that you could see, and each one of those could be anywhere in the world. And it didn't matter. You didn't have to know server names or anything like that. If somebody could spend the time to curate and pull together information, you could make it easy to discover. And so we created something called EcoGopher, which was one of the earliest things on the internet focused on environmental problems. And we took a CD-ROM of all of the toxic information fact sheets that essentially said what to do if you were exposed to chemicals or if you're nervous about what kind of impact that they might have. And we made it full text searchable so that somebody could come and say, there's something ammonia in the air, and it would tell you, here's what happened. And you can see the beautiful UI you created for it on the right-hand side. That was about as good as Gopher got. But the concept was that as two students and a computer, we could create something that ended up being recognized by the W3C later as the Center for Environmental Information on the Internet. And that was just the two of us working on a project as students to try and make a difference. And what we discovered is that as we learned how to do those things and as we built up those tools, it turned out that those were really useful skills for a number of different industries. And so when the first web browser came out, for myself, I immediately was, oh my God, this is going to change everything. And so, I left school and went and started a company just focusing on, let's find a problem and figure out how to use this new technology around large scale data and the internet to try and make it better. And that really set for me, it set me on my path. My startup got acquired by AltaVista back in '99. And since then, I've worked at Yahoo and Shazam at Google, and I really have had a great deal of my career come out of the things that I did as a student. And so, when I look at all the work that the folks in the Solutions Challenge are doing and broader across all the developer student clubs, I think it's great that at the same time as you are taking the things that you've been learning in theory and bringing them to practice and solving problems, you're building community, you are building up your skills. I think it's such an amazing opportunity and helpful thing that all of you are doing that I think in the long run also really helps your career and hopefully let you make a difference in the world. So I also do want to call out that these student club members around the world that we've already seen, a number of them are not just ending up going into and making a big difference in the startup community, but also a number of them are ending up working at some of the largest technology companies in their countries and around the world. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what all of you continue to build and what cool projects you work on. Maybe one day I'll get to join your live stream and hear your early stage stories like you're getting to hear some of mine. And so lastly, I really want to congratulate all the folks who joined the 2020 Solutions Challenge, and congratulations to the 10 winning teams. I encourage you to keep learning, keep collaborating, and keep building things that make an impact. And now I have the honor of introducing one of the pioneers of the internet, Vint Cerf.
There we go. I had to unmute myself. So Jason, it's really great to see you. Thanks so much for those thoughtful remarks. And I share your congratulations with all the students who have competed and contributed to this year's activity. This congratulations goes not only to winners, but to everyone, because engaging in this process is always a learning opportunity. You mentioned that you were working with a friend, another student, at the beginning of your career in computing, and I can say the same thing. My best friend in high school and I got access to some computers at UCLA in 1960. I know that sounds like it was sort of pre-Civil War or something, but we stayed together, working together for literally the rest of our lives. So we're still close friends. We still work together. We were both part of the early development of the ARPANET, the predecessor to the internet. And I have to say, the picture of the Apple II Plus resonated very strongly with me, because I remember buying one around 1979. It had VisiCalc running on it, which is an automated spreadsheet system. And I had experienced spreadsheets in paper form that took a week and you could easily make mistakes. The real-time stuff that VisiCalc offered really made a huge difference. You could experiment with parametric changes, in a sense, literally like getting to try out different possible futures. And so it was a tremendous positive experience for me. The thing I would point out, however, is that working together really makes a huge difference in bouncing ideas back and forth. So my early involvement in networking came when I was still a graduate student at UCLA. And my focus of attention there was on the ARPANET design. And my best friend, Steve Crocker, led the network working group that did the early protocols for the ARPANET. One was called NCP, for Network Control Protocol. That experience, which was enormously successful, was funded by the Defense Department. And the reason the Defense Department was funding this network is because they were paying for research at a dozen universities in artificial intelligence and computer science back in the mid to late 1960s. And everybody kept saying, you have to buy us a new world-class computer in order for us to do world-class research. And everybody, the government, in particular DARPA, said, we can't afford to buy a dozen brand new world-class computers every year for each of you. So we're going to build a network and you have to share. And everybody hated that idea, but DARPA basically said, we're going to do that. And oh, by the way, we'll fund all of you. So don't hide your ideas in order to be competitive for next year's proposals. Share what you've done so we can advance the state of the art as quickly as possible. So this collaborative tool, this network, demonstrated the wonderful power of working together across the network. That led the Defense Department to say, well, if we can use computers for that, maybe we can use them for command and control. That led to the realization that some of those computers would have to be in ships at sea, some would have to be in airplanes, and some would be in mobile vehicles. And you couldn't use dedicated telephone lines, which is what we built the ARPANET from, to connect the vehicles together. The tanks run over the wires and they break and the ships get all tangled up. The airplanes never make it off the tarmac. So we had packet radio, mobile packet radio, and packet satellite in addition to the ARPANET to put together. So when Bob Kahn and I got together when I was at Stanford as a faculty member in 1973, that was our problem. How do we connect these different nets together in a uniform way? That was the internet problem. And we essentially solved it in about 6 months, developed a protocol called TCP, and then began detailed specification and implementation starting around 1975, which is quite a long time ago. So that all worked. And the reason it worked in part is that the Defense Department was paying for all of it. Once it was demonstrated that you could link these various networks to each other, the next thing that happened is that others realized, in the government, realized that they wanted to be a part of that growing network environment. So the National Science Foundation designed and built the NSFNet backbone to connect 3,000 universities in the US together. NASA and the Department of Energy had laboratories that needed to be connected together and 2 supercomputing facilities. And so they joined by building their own backbone networks and interconnecting them to form the growing internet. So by the time 1990, by the time the Gopher thing rolls around, I was the president of the Internet Society, which we'd started in the beginning of 1992. And somebody drew my attention to Gopher as well. And so I was poking around in it. And the first thing I found in the Gopher system was the CIA World Fact Book. And I went into panic mode thinking, oh God, somebody has put classified stuff up on this public backbone and, we're all going to go to jail. Well, it turned out that was a public resource. And so I was actually much more comfortable after I learned that. We went on, of course, to continue building more internet. It became popular to build pieces around the world in Europe and Asia and so on. Around 1993 or so, at the end of 91, Tim Berners-Lee announced the World Wide Web, and almost nobody noticed. He had built a server and a client using the Next computer that Steve Jobs had built after he was kicked out of Apple. But literally, not too many people saw the World Wide Web idea, except for these 2 guys, Mark Andreessen and Eric Bina, at the National Center for Supercomputer Applications in Illinois, and they decided to design a browser that had a graphical interface. They called it Mosaic. Well, everybody noticed that because there were millions of downloads. Suddenly, the internet looked like a magazine with formatted text and imagery and eventually streaming audio and video. So a guy named Jim Clark, who had built Silicon Graphics, which was a hardware system to help do computer graphics, saw this Mosaic thing and said, that's a big deal, and brought Eric Bina and Mark Andreessen to the West Coast and started Netscape Communications. So Netscape released the Netscape Navigator in 1994. It was a spectacular success. Suddenly, ordinary mortals could create content and share it around the network, which they did in quantity. In 1995, the company went public. The stock went through the roof. The dot boom was on. And every venture capital company anywhere, but especially in Silicon Valley, was throwing money at anything that looked like it had something to do with the internet. And so lots of people started new companies. They didn't all have business models in mind. They really didn't know how they were going to make money. All they knew was that money was flowing in the form of capital. Well, around April of 2000 comes around, and some companies burn through all their capital and they don't have any revenue and they collapse. So that's lesson number one. Revenue and capital are not the same thing. Capital is finite. Revenue is supposed to keep going. If you have a business model, you should make enough money to, don't spend more money than you have. I'm sure you've been through all that. So now we have the dot bust, but the internet continued to grow. And along comes 2007, and what happens next? Apple comes along with the iPhone. Now, to be fair, Nokia actually had some very smart phones as well, but they didn't have quite the same combination of capability nor the salesmanship of Steve Jobs. So iPhone comes along, and it is dramatic because now suddenly you have access to the internet anywhere you can get a signal. And of course, these two technologies were super hypergolic because the mobile allowed you to get access to the internet anywhere you were. And the mobile was super valuable because it got access to all the content of the internet and all the functionality, which led to millions of apps and everything else. So here we are today. And what lessons have we learned? Well, we've discovered that you can do a lot with these technologies. People are sharing information like crazy. And unfortunately, some of it is misinformation and disinformation. We have the social networking that's going on, which is an amplifier of everything. Good stuff and bad stuff. We have phishing, we have malware, we have denial of service attacks. So the lesson we're learning in 2020 is that we have to do something to manage this online environment to reduce the level of harmful behavior and increase the opportunity for beneficial behavior if we don't want to lose this wonderful tool. And right now, that's a big issue because there are countries that are saying, well, we should have internet sovereignty. We should be able to build borders around our countries. We should inhibit people's access to information in country. There are all kinds of issues associated with that. Setting that aside for a moment, for everybody who has participated in this event, the internet is an example of a software enhancing platform because everything you do on the internet is all about software. And that is an endless frontier. There is no end to software except the limitations of your own imagination and ability to write programs. And so for me, internet is this wonderful opportunity to advance that software frontier as far as we can take it. Speaking of taking things far, I realize I'm going to run out of time pretty soon. So let me move you to one other futuristic looking view of the internet. Back in 1998, a team at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory and I started working on an interplanetary extension of the internet. We had just seen the Pathfinder land on Mars in 1997 after the Viking landers had landed in 1976, and then for 20 years, nothing worked. Everything crashed or didn't make it. 97, Pathfinder arrives. We're all excited. And so we got together at JPL and we said, what should we be doing 25 years, that will be needed 25 years from now. So we said, well, how about an internet for the solar system? So we started working our way through that, discovered very quickly that TCP/IP didn't work very well with a 20-minute, one-way and 40-minute round trip time to Mars. Flow control doesn't work very well. And then there's this problem of planetary rotation. We don't know how to stop that. And so if there's something on the surface that's trying to talk to you with a link back to the deep space network and the planet rotates, you can't talk to it till it comes back around the other side. And same is true for some orbiting satellites. So we said, okay, we got a variably delayed and disrupted environment. How do we design a protocol for that? And we put together something called the bundle protocol, which is a delay and disruption tolerant networking example. We have standardized that with the Consultative Committee on Space Data Systems, which is part of the United Nations and involves all the various spacefaring nations of the world. We are running the prototype software on Mars and have been since 2004. When Spirit and Opportunity landed, they were supposed to transmit data back to Earth by a direct link to the Deep Space Network, and the radios overheated. And so they backed off on the duty cycle, and they were only delivering 28 kilobits per second anyway, and the scientists are all grumpy. And somebody says, well, we have an X-band radio on the rovers, and we have X-band radios on the orbiters that we sent 2 years ago to map the surface of Mars to figure out where the rovers are supposed to go. They're still functional. They have power, they have computing, and they have communications capability. Why don't we reprogram them and make them store and forward relays? So we put the prototype interplanetary software on the rovers and the orbiters, Since 2004, that's how all the data has been coming back. All the subsequent missions to Mars have been using the prototype software. Now we are ready to release the standardized versions of the software in the new missions that are coming up in 2020. So some of you know the Artemis mission in the US is Return to the Moon. There's a Gateway mission that goes along with it. They'll all have the interplanetary bundle protocols on board. So we're really excited about that. And that's where we are today. And I suspect that I'm pretty much out of time and I should be handing off to Erica, who should be popping up on my screen at any moment now.
Great. Hi, Vint. Thank you so much. I love the insights, and I agree. It's really a limitless frontier. There's so much opportunity. So I'm really excited to see the future and what's next. What will the future bring after the internet? So really excited about that. Thank you so much.
The students who participated in this event are the ones who will bring the future to our doorsteps, and I can hardly wait.
Definitely, I agree. Thank you so much. Great. So, hi, everyone. It's so good to see you and be here with all of you. We are going to get started right now, and I'm going to talk through just what to expect for the day. But first of all, I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Erica Hansen, and I lead the Developer Student Clubs program globally. I'm so happy that you joined us today, each of you from different countries all over the world. I was just checking out the chat, saw a lot of people from Pakistan and other countries. So thank you so much for joining us from wherever you are. For me, I'm in my home in New York. As you can see, I have lots of plants. I've actually hidden some of them from view, but so happy that you're taking this time to be here with us right now. And really to take the time to get to know the 10 winning teams of the 2020 Solution Challenge. And so this is a global competition in which students solve local problems using Google technology. And in this year's Solution Challenge, we saw hundreds of project submissions from many of you who are watching right now from all over the world. And even though so many were great and impactful, we think that the top 10 really represent the immense talents of the developer student clubs that all of you hold around the world. So through the next 90 minutes, you'll get to know these 10 winning teams. We'll be reviewing their solutions. You'll see demos. Also, we have some Google experts joining to and ask questions as well. And this is a live event, so we would love for you to feel a part of it. And one way to be a part of it is to join the live chat. So definitely chime in. Maybe you can say, where you're based, out of what city or country. We'd love to see where you're from. And so I'll be guiding you through the next 90 minutes. And just a reminder that when the teams are presenting their projects, please do ask questions. And my teammate Drew, you'll see him in there. He'll pull in some of those questions. So let's take a look at the agenda. And so, as I mentioned, for each session, we're going to have a co-host. So the first team is going to be from South Korea and Hong Kong, joined by Kate from the Flutter team. Then we're going to have teams from Indonesia and Zimbabwe, joined by Anu from the CloudAI team. And then after that, it will be teams from Vietnam and Pakistan. Also, that will be with Kat from the Android team. And then after that, we're going to be taking let me share. So as I mentioned, we have Kat from who will be joining the team from Vietnam and also talking to the team based in Pakistan. We are going to have a trivia break as well. So definitely stay tuned for that. That's with my teammate, Kyle. So get ready to answer some questions. After the trivia break, we're going to be joined by teams from India and Ghana. And so we have Todd from the Firebase team going to ask those teams questions. And lastly, we're going to have teams from Germany and the US, and Lawrence from the TensorFlow team will be there to ask those teams some questions. So really excited to see all the 10 demos. I hope you stick around with us to watch all the teams, and I do really encourage you to join the live chat. So let's get started. I want to introduce you to the first team. And so the first team is Simhae. They are based out of South Korea, and their project focuses on mental health, which is a very important topic right now. So we're going to be joined by Kate from the Flutter team, who's going to ask a couple questions. So let's check out their demo.
Korea has the highest suicide rate among OECD members. But why are there no suicide survivors around me? Chungnam is the region with the highest suicide rate in Korea for many years. Korean services are biased towards suicide prevention. In addition, social stigma makes suicide survivor hurt. Communication based on empathy is the first way to lead them to healing. So, we developed Deep Seal Mind, it's called Simhae. First, you must fully agree to the TOS. After login, you can see the main page. The story written by user flows randomly. The phrase will give you courage in writing. If you want to write your story, press pencil button. You can change letters color according to your feeling, weather, emotion, etc. Also, you can always delete and modify it in My Page. You can check the location of Survivor Support Center and information about offline survivor meeting, about dates and time, location, etc. Click this button to go to the page that have collected the online cafe links. Additional information can be obtained via the help page. You can get up something you want to say. The memorial sentence disappears after a month. Your heart will be delivered. Please try to express your empathy by pressing emoji. If you have any question, refer to the help page. You can contact us about an inconvenience and services. We want to start online communication of survivor. After the time, we will hold day join offline meetings, talk and remember together.
Great. Hi, Team Simhae. And from South
everyone.
Korea. Thanks for joining so late. Good to see you. How are you doing?
Good.
Great. And hi, Kate. Kate's
Hi,
joining us.
everyone.
So happy to have you here. Do you want to introduce yourself, Kate, and kick it off?
Thank you. Yes, of course. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Kate Lovett, and I am a software engineer on the Flutter team. And I am so happy to see an app like Simhae making an impact on mental health. Well done. This is really great. The first thing I wanted to ask you all is, how did your team come up with this idea?
At first, we looked for some problems occurring in our local area. There were problems such as elderly problem, multicultural family problem, suicide problem. In those problems, we decided to solve the high rate of suicide matter because we watched the documentary interview video about suicide survivors by chance. After watching this video, we got inspiration and focused on them for our solution. And we think most of people were not interested in psychological pain that suicide survivor felt. Also, they have a broken heart about the fact that ordinary people can't sympathize with their pain and emotion. Therefore, we made our solution to make them receive psychological treatment and be active in society.
I think that's so wonderful. I mean, it just warms my heart. I also wanted to ask you all, what were some of the benefits of using Flutter to build your application?
To maximize the user experience, we needed more time to improve our idea. So we chose Flutter to reduce development time. Besides, the Flutter is more convenient than any other framework to organize UI. So we believe that the speed of Flutter helped us to establish our ideas more firmly, and we were able to create a dynamic and beautiful application.
That is so great. I'm so glad to hear. I love hearing people's experiences with Flutter because it just inspires me to keep working on making it better.
Great. Thanks so much. Let's pull in a live question from the chat. And I just want to encourage folks who are watching live to continue to add any questions that you have for the team. So we'll always take at least one question. So let's take a look at this question. How do you want to develop your project further in the future?
So users of our solution are very sensitive. Because of this, verbal violence must not occur in ours. So I definitely want to add a function that automatically classifies whether malicious comment or not and deletes the comment. So for example, we will make a machine learning model for classification like support vector machine, naive Bayes, and recurrent neural network to extract the bad comment and delete it. Yes.
Great. That sounds good. I'm looking forward to seeing what comes next and checking in on your project again next year.
Right. Yes, thank you
so much.
That's right.
That's really great.
Thank you so much. It was really great talking to all of you. We're going to head over to the next project team, but thank you so much. And I know it's late there, so we appreciate that you joined us and shared your process and inspiration for building this. So thank you so much and congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Good to see you.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a good evening. Great. So next up, we're going to welcome the next team. So this is a team based in Hong Kong. And so it's Team Picare. And Kate's going to be sticking around with us and going to ask the team a couple of questions as well. And you can continue to add any questions you have for the next team. So this is Picare. Let's take a look at their demo.
A super aging society is arising in Hong Kong and many Asian countries. Aging in place are recognized to be the key element to build an elderly-friendly community by many governments. However, there are several problems hindering us to order caretaking services for our parents. We went through design sprints to recognize the problems and solutions. Introducing Picare. It is a healthcare matching platform to connect family members, elderly, and caregivers. First, services provided for home care are very fragmented among different parties, making one hard to find them from different channels. Services demanded include home care to home cleaning to elderly dieting. We decided to gather these 7 product lines in our platform, making the ordering easy with just a few steps. Second, researchers show that 20% of family carers hesitate to hire caregivers because of financial concern. Traditional industry players charge high service fee. By adopting a platform and light capital model of lower service fee charges, we allow more people, regardless of social status, to get access to caregivers. Lastly, service quality is inconsistent and the whole experience in obtaining home healthcare services are bad. Ordering a healthcare service nowadays is a calling center model. Users encounter problems such as complicated ordering process, traditional payment methods, and poor communication with caregivers. While the existence of platform technology have transformed our lives, We're striving to be the Uber in healthcare as well. Machine learning are implemented to enhance the security and service quality. We bring in Google technology in our products. Our rating, feedback, and tips system allow caregivers to provide better services for satisfactions. With other couples of functions such as content-based recommender system, we are striving the best experience for aging in place.
Hello. Hi, Team Picare. How are you doing?
Hi. Doing great.
Great. We're so happy to have you here. And we also have Kate, who's still with us. Hi, Kate. How are you doing?
Hello, everyone. I am great. It is great to see another team creating with Flutter, and I am so excited to hear about your experiences. I actually used to work in senior living, and it is wonderful to see an app making changes in this industry. So I'm really curious first what the inspiration was behind your solution.
Thank you for your question. And in fact, the project ideas came from a story of our team members. He hired the caregivers for multiple times when his mom was in later stage of cancer. So after the few years, this team came up together and dig into the problem of the elderly caring industry in Hong Kong. So we found that the industry is still using some call center model, which will bring us some disadvantage, like inconsistent quality of caregivers. Therefore, we built up this app as the foundation, and we hope that we can move a little bit forward for this aging society. So we provide a healthcare matching platform as the entry point to elevate the user experience of the elderly caregiving service. That's why we built our Picare app. Thank you.
That is so great. I can imagine so many people that are going to benefit so much from this. What would you say were some of the benefits of using Flutter to build your user interface?
Yes, thank you for the question. The reason we chose Flutter is that we see a huge potential in this exciting technology. Firstly, it is very easy to learn since the syntax and logics of Flutter is very explicit. Secondly, Flutter helps us develop apps with decent performance. Our app performs great even in older generation smartphones. On top of that, Flutter helps us shorten the development time. Since there is numerous amounts of preview widgets in this framework, our team could perform complicated features in our app with merely a few lines of code. Last but not least, Flutter works great with other Google products, such as Firebase. It makes us easier to expand the scope of our project, and we had a great time working with Flutter. Thank you.
That is so great. I can't wait to pass that on to everyone on the team. Really well done. Congratulations.
Great, thanks. So let's take a question from the live chat. I see people are asking a number of questions in there, and thank you so much for doing that. Let's see what question we have. Great. So while they're pulling up the question, I did see one question about just how many people worked on the project. How many people were on your project team? I think it was the 4 of you, but they were wondering how many folks were involved in the process.
So 4 people of us are taking in charge of team posts. So I'm leading the team, while Alex, Anthony, and Thomas here are all leading in engineering, marketing, and operations. So we are a full functional team.
Wow, that is great. That is really great.
Great. So let's take another question. What was the hardest part to develop during the project?
So actually, first of all, we tried to build a first prototype to our target users. And after that, we received some feedbacks. So like for the user side, we have some feedbacks like, is it possible for them to communicate earlier with the caregivers and know what's happening at home for the elderly? And therefore, we try to enhance our system and build a tracking system for the caregivers to click and use the chat room function. So for the caregivers, they can just click a button to indicate where they are heading home, moments arriving, and starting the service. And then for the users, they will know what's happening at home, and then they will increase the confidence level of using our platform.
That's great. All right, thank you. Thanks so much for sharing. And Yeah, I think that's all we have time for, but thank you so much. Did you enjoy working on this project and being part of the competition?
Yeah, the experience is really amazing. We have literally spent a few nights, overnights to work. Despite it's a tough one, but we really enjoy the process, and definitely our relationship has been improving a lot after that. We love this competition a lot. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much, and thanks for your dedication. I'm sure there were late nights and great work by your team. Great. Thank you so much for sharing with us. And also thank you to Kate for joining us for these 2 projects. We're going to be welcoming some more guests and Google guests in just a moment. So thank you to all of you. And thanks, Team Picare, for this awesome solution and for being part of this competition.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
See you.
Bye.
See you. Bye. Have a good evening. Great. So next up, we're going to welcome the next team. This team is Tulibot from Indonesia, and we're going to have Anu from the Cloud AI team joining as a co-host to ask the team a couple of questions. I'm really excited to see the smart gloves and smart glasses that they worked on. So let's take a look at their demo and see what they built.
400 million people all over the world are suffering from disabling hearing loss, and communication became one of the biggest problems that they are facing. An exclusion from communication can have a significant impact on everyday life. It can cause loneliness, isolation, frustration, and discrimination. Then what can we do? Tulibot came as the solution. Tulibot is an integrated assistive device created to help the communication, especially for people with hearing loss. Smart glasses is one of the devices that offered by Tulibot. Is an integrated assistive technology that's able to transcribing audio input into text output.
It's very nice to meet you all. We are from Indonesia, and we are gonna do the best for the competition.
Here's the demonstration of how Tulibot smart glasses working. How are you? Nice to meet you. These are several options in Tulibot application. Virtual reality. Smart glasses. These devices are connected with Bluetooth to make sure that the phone are connected with the smart glasses. And then we have live transcribe. Hello, nice to meet you. Deaf people are communicating by doing sign language. This brings the idea to us to developing smart glove prototypes. These gloves are able to transcribing gesture into audio output.
Hi, everyone. It's good to see you, Team Tulibot. How are you?
Hi, we're great.
Hi, good.
Hi, I'm very good.
Yeah.
Good to see you. All the way from Indonesia, one of my favorite countries. Been there many times. And we have Anu, my friend, and
hey, Erica.
Teammate. Hi, it's good to see you. We're so close so far. So in New York. So thank you so much for joining us. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure thing. So, hi everyone. My name is Anu Srivastava. I am an engineer in developer relations for Cloud AI and ML. I'm also based in New York, and back when we used to be in the office, I used to sit next to Erica. But what I work on are some of the APIs you might have heard of, like Cloud Vision, natural language, and some that we'll see today. So my role is to bring the power of ML to app developers around the world.
Great.
Cool. So should we get started with some questions?
Yeah, let's get started with the first question.
So I was so excited to see this app, especially with all of the APIs that you're using. Can you tell me what was the inspiration behind this, and how did you get started programming with all the hardware?
So I remember that day when all of us are going to the cafe and we see that the waiters are deaf. We understand that the waiters are having a very hard time to communicate, especially with the customer. And then we also see the data in Indonesia that there are 40.5 million people in Indonesia who are suffer from disabling hearing loss. And that was a very huge number. And we are understand that deaf people are having inequality in their life, especially in education and communication. And at that moment, we are thinking like, why can't we try to build a solution that might be helpful for deaf people, especially in their communication? And for the hardware, because all of us are starting from different major, we are trying to mapping the problems in the development, and then we start just to develop the hardware and the program.
Super cool. I had a question about the gestures. So you have the gestures and then you're able to output it as audio. How did that work?
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so there are several components in Smart Glove that we are using right now. The first sensor is flex sensor that stick in forefinger and thumb. And second is an inertial measurement unit, or EMU, is an electronic device that measure and report body specific force and angular rate using combination of accelerometer and gyroscope.
Oh.
The device then turns the finger movement into electric signal, which are sent to mini computer in here. In this case, it's Raspberry Pi. The board transmits the signal wirelessly to a mini computer that translate them into spoken word using speaker in here. At a rate about 1 word per second. Then regarding the learning step of the smart gloves, first, the reader need to repeat each hand gesture, something like 20 times, something like hello, 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 until 20 times. Then the custom machine learning algorithm turn this gesture into letters, number, and word they represent. So I think that's how the smart glove outputting the spoken word audio.
Very cool. So what's next for Tulibot?
For the next plan, we will develop the 3 things from Tulibot. So the first, we will use copy display module on smart glasses to project the output. So we will not use mirror anymore, and it will be more comfortable to use and less heavy. And for the smart glove, we will use material that are more comfortable to the for using for the users. And we already developed a new feature of the Tulibot application that is called group captioning. This feature can help deaf people when they are in a fairly large scope of communication, like seminar or something like that. So when deaf people are at such event and there is no interpreter, they will find it difficult to get information from the speaker. Using the previous feature would be difficult to use because nearby sounds would interfere with the sound from the speaker. So we provide a group chat that accommodates seminar participants and the speakers. The results of speech text from the speaker will be broadcast to each participant who is part of the group chat, and the deaf people can receive information from the speaker's live caption without any disturbance. So those are the 3 things that we will continue to develop.
Wow, that's great. I'm excited to see what comes next. So now we're going to take a question from the live chat. So I've also been checking some of the questions. The question is, how much time did it take to make this fully operational?
So how much time to make this thing fully operational is we are doing several trainings. Like I think it's a lot, and it's actually not 100% fully operational because there are still so many things to do to make these things work. And I think for now, for the smart glasses, it works 95% for the accuracy and stuff. And then for the smart gloves, I can say that the accuracy is for about 85%.
Wow, that's great. Thank you so much for sharing. And this is great. We have to wrap up, but I really enjoyed hearing about your project and really enjoyed the demo. And I like the innovation with everything. And I'm just so impressed. And thank you for sharing your journeys and process with us. And thanks, Anu, for being my co-host for this. Thanks.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thanks so much. So good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Thanks. Great. So now we're going to welcome the next team, and Anu will be joining us again. So we have Project Capstone from Zimbabwe. This is a plagiarism detection checker. So I'm excited to see what they built. Let's check out the demo.
Capstone is a plagiarism detection software that sits on Google Cloud. It allows students, authors, and researchers to check their work for plagiarism to improve the quality of intellectual outputs. Capstone accepts text, PDF, Word documents, and images as input. In this demo, I paste a short article and submit for plagiarism check. A color-coded similarity report is generated and shows that I plagiarized 90% of the paper. It highlights the plagiarized content and shows the primary source document on mouse hover. In this case, the primary document is document 3034. Capstone is a cool feature which uses Tesseract OCR to convert images to text and check them for plagiarism. I have taken an image snippet and I'm going to upload it to Capstone and check for plagiarism from the image. It will scan, convert the image, and check for plagiarism as expected. Furthermore, Capstone allows users to view their documents in Google Docs, prompting them to edit, and it will eventually allow users to view the similarity report in Google Docs. To add to these features, Capstone also has an API that allows developers to integrate their solutions. Eventually, the API will consume Google Classroom submissions, download the documents, check for plagiarism, and return the report via email. In conclusion, Capstone aims to make the world a better place by curbing plagiarism and improving the quality of intellectual outputs. Capstone, reimagining the art of academic integrity. Thank you.
Hi, Team Capstone.
Hi.
You're all the way from Zimbabwe. Great to be here. How y'all doing?
We're doing great. Hey, thanks a lot. We're very much happy to be here.
Great. We're happy to have you. And we also have Anu as well, who's going to be joining us. Good to see you, Anu.
You too.
Great. So yeah, we'd love to get to know your project a bit more. And Anu has a couple questions. She took a deep look at your project and wants to know a bit more.
I do. I was so excited to see that you're using Google Cloud. And then I think you're also using a bit of G Suite with your Google Docs. What was the hardest part of using both of those together?
So actually the challenge that we faced first is actually how to get started. So what happened is that at first we did not have any knowledge on how we could do the solution or the plagiarism detector itself. And then we realized that there was something called developer student club. So I applied and we got the DSC at our campus, and then through cloud study jams, DSC workshops, we started seeing that we integrate our solution to cloud and integrate even with G Suite. So actually through those, we managed to get our solution together, as well as help with Google developer experts and all those.
Super cool. That's awesome that now you have a product and then you're opening it up with an API. That's, the same thing that companies around the world do. They start with a product and then make an API for other people to integrate. How do you envision people using your API?
Okay, so we are planning on sharing the API with other developers so that they can use it to customize their own solutions.
Great. What are your plans to scale up the service? Do you plan on expanding it outside of Zimbabwe?
Yes, we are planning on going globally. And since we're using GCP, we're going to take advantage of the compute engine's load balancing so that it manages our traffic and won't have any problems with managing because we're expecting a lot of users.
That's great. Great reason to use a load balancer. I was reading that you actually developed the algorithm yourself for doing the checking. What was the process for that like? How did you test it out? Designing it? How did it go?
Okay. So developing the algorithm was the most challenging, but yet it was the most exciting part of developing Capstone. So the algorithm basically comprises of 3 modules, module for extraction, module for indexing, and module for searching. So basically for extraction, we basically convert PDF documents, Word documents, and images to text. Then for indexing, we optimize the document for storage so that they're easy to search. So for testing, fortunately, our institution was in full support. We managed to test the solution with the computer science department. So basically, we managed to like 15,000 documents and researches. We index them in our database and we allow with our solution.
Cool. So what's next for Capstone?
The next step is rolling out. So our institution, we are discussing with the institution so that it becomes our test partner. So as soon as we are done with testing, we'll be rolling out to several other institutions in Zimbabwe. Of over 60 institutions which are willing to use the solution. And if it works in Zimbabwe, we are definitely moving forward.
Great. That's awesome. And we do want to hear from the audience, the live chat. Let's pull up a question and see if anyone has a question. So the question is, how did you crawl the web for plagiarism checking?
All right. So basically, we take, for example, institutional repositories. Each institution has a website where they publicize their researches. So we targeted those websites and scraped them using Python scripts and the likes. And we also identified journal websites, and also we integrated to Google search such that we can actually search for plagiarism on the internet.
Wow. That's great. Well, thank you so much for talking us through your journey and your process of building this. I think this is definitely useful, and it's a really cool project that you worked on. So yeah, we'll have to wrap up now, but it was so good to see all of you. Did you enjoy being part of the Solution Challenge and going through the process of working on a project together as a team?
Yeah, definitely we did. It was actually a great experience. We became more of like family, through the all-night hackathons together, the 3 of us, and all the nicknames and stuff, Bugs Bunny, and it was actually a very good experience, and we was just very much happy and excited that we actually have a product now and we're moving on forward with it.
That's great. Awesome. Yeah, it is like a family, but you spend a lot of time together working on it. Yeah. That's great. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Team Capstone. This was a really cool project, and we're excited to see what you do next. And thank you so much, Anu, for joining us for these last couple projects.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, everyone.
Great. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
See you soon, hopefully. Great. So now we're going to move on to the next project. This is called Shareapy, and it's created by a team in Vietnam. And so it's also focused on mental health. And we're going to be joined by our next Google guest, Kuan from the Android team. So let's check out their demo.
Shareapy greets its users with a light green interface, which is proved to be one of the most comforting colors that can diffuse anxiety and help us stay calm and refreshed. After logging in and having a little update about their current mood, users will be directed to Shareapy homepage. Here, they can choose the support group that suits their needs in two ways, by topic and by date. With the first way, after choosing the topic of interest, users will see support group sessions related to that topic on different days. In contrast, in the calendar section, users can check to see which support groups take place on a particular day. All information in both ways includes the topic's name, the date and time of a meeting, and the number of slots registered. Users can also click on the heart in the corner to turn this information to favorites if they are unsure about participation. In the activities section, we have 3 tabs in turn showing all support groups they have joined, are joining, and are about to join in a chronological order. Before the meeting takes place 10 minutes, this ongoing tab will appear a page leading to the virtual meeting room using Google Meet and automatically switch to the history section after the meeting is completed. Besides the online support groups, Shareapy's community is created in the form of one-way communication to help users improve their mood even better. Shareapy's community is a place to share the user's struggles and fears, but not interact or listen to comments or create controversy. After express their feelings, it allows users to customize their privacy preference private or public. If users choose private, only they can see their post like an online journal. Meanwhile, by setting it public, users can not only freely release their emotions, but also receive sympathy through support or appreciate replying instead of comments, which help users avoid being hurt or offended by negative opinions.
Hi, Team Shareapy. It's good to see you. How are you doing?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, we are doing great.
Great.
Yeah, we're great.
Good. I'm so happy to see you. I know you're calling in from Vietnam, and we also have Kat Kuan from the Android team. It's good to see you, Kat.
Hey, Erica. Hi, everyone. It's so nice to meet you.
Great. We're so happy to have you here. Yeah, I would love for you to introduce yourself. And I know you took a deeper look at the next couple projects. Would love to hear what questions you have.
Sure. So I'm Kat Kuan. I'm a developer advocate on the Android team, and I really loved your app. Congratulations for being one of the winning teams. I really appreciated how much thought you put into your app. It just sounded like, in terms of all the design decisions and thinking about how users would feel as they use their app, I just felt like you did a really good job with that. So I wanted to ask you, you tackled a big challenge, mental health. How do you feel like this problem is best solved through a mobile app?
Hi, I'm Kang, and I will answer your questions.
Sure.
So there are 2 main reasons that we want to build a mobile app. The first one is nowadays mobile phones have become an essential part of our life. Therefore, it's easy for everyone to approach our solutions. Secondly, as an online support group app, Shareapy can solve the geographic distance problems and save the cost of traditional offline meeting. That's all. Thank you.
That's awesome. That's exactly why I also feel like it would be a great solution as a mobile app. I'd love to hear also more about the process of building the app. Was there a certain challenging technical decision that you had to come across, and what were some of the trade-offs you had to decide between?
Okay, so the most challenging one must be choosing the backend for our application, and Firebase is our best choice, which can fit our agile development process for fast implementation and development and also deployment. It acts as a means to handle our application storage, database, and also authentication. Because Firebase is being our application backend, there are some event-driven functions that cannot fully support by this platform. And we think this is the most trade-off things we suffer when developing our application. We also think about cloud function to handle these problems in the near future. Yeah, that's all.
That sounds great. And it sounds like you made a great decision.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's great. So we'd love to bring in a question from the live chat and see if anyone has a question for your team. And so we're going to be pulling that question in as soon as we have one.
While we're waiting, go for it.
Great. So how much time did this solution take, including the process of learning, planning, and development?
Okay, so okay. When we received the solution challenge, kick off in our university, we just had approximately like 8 months to build our application. So it is a really challenging one to finish our application and also deploy it in just a month. And that is the reason why I explained to you that we have to use like something fast and something convenient to build up the applications as Firebase or even in Android development.
Wow, that's impressive to do all that in 1 month.
Yes. Yeah, it is a really fantastic experience that we had. And also in that 1 month, we have experienced something new, something that we haven't done before, and we can know ourselves better. We can know what we can do and how far we can go.
Absolutely. It sounds like a great learning experience in terms of like your strengths and pushing your bounds.
Yes.
Great. Thanks for sharing. I think we have time for one more question. Kat, if you want to ask one more.
Sure. I'm curious to know what your feedback has been from users. Was there any...
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Oh, sure. I'm just curious to know if there's any particular feedback from users that you found to be helpful.
Yeah, we actually bring the solution to multiple university in our city, and we have received feedback such as we can add some music that relaxing and stress relief, and we can bring up some articles that related to mental health to educate people, especially young people, about mental health, like how to reduce stress. And I think that is really useful for us to further develop the application in the future.
That's awesome. Yeah, users are the best way to figure out what features to add next.
Yeah,
definitely. It's a key part of the process. So thank you so much for joining us. We really enjoyed hearing about your project, and thank you, Kat, for being here with us. So thanks so much, and we're really excited to see what comes next on your journey. So thanks, team.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Great. So next up, we're going to shift gears a little bit and take a break, a trivia break. So Kyle Paul, my teammate, is going to join in and ask a few questions, some trivia questions. He's also going to share a badge. You'll be hearing a bit more about this, a Google Developers Badge for being an attendee today. So be sure to stick around for the end of the trivia where he'll be sharing more about how you can claim that badge. So without further ado, we'd love to add in Kyle in just a moment to share trivia. So please stick around for a few seconds and he will be joining us. We're really excited to see, brush up on your knowledge and see where we're at with our trivia. I think hopefully I'll get more than a couple. Let's see. So over to Kyle.
Okay, stand by. We're going to come to you, Kyle. We're just going to pin your appropriate screens.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kyle Paul, Developer Ecosystems Lead here in North America. And I look after programs like the Developer Student Clubs. So very excited of all the demos that we've seen here today. Many more yet to come. As Erica mentioned, I'm leading the trivia break here today. But first, I'm happy to announce that those of you watching today, there is an attendee challenge badge that you can get if you hop over onto this link. Don't worry, we'll be sharing it in the live chat as well. But while you're there at google.dev, you can learn about other Google technologies. So there's Android, Firebase, lots of cool code labs and learning pathways that you can hop into. But without further ado, let's ready to get to this challenge. So first question, when was Google officially founded? So you have 1995, 1998, 2002, or 2003. Throw your answers over in the chat. Let's see. We got 10 seconds up on the clock. See who's going to get it. This should be an easy one. No quick Google searches. That's why there's only 10 seconds on the clock. Ready? And 1998 is the correct answer. Awesome. Congrats to all of you who got that one. On to the next one. So this is a Chrome question. In which year was the first version of Google Chrome released? Was that in 1999, 2008, 2014, or 2016? 10 seconds back up on the clock. So lock in your answers now over on the YouTube live chat. Let's see which ones we get. And 10 seconds is up. The correct answer is 2008 is when the first version of Google Chrome was released. Congratulations to those of you who got it. On to the next one, it's an Android question. So which of the following is not an attribute of Android widget text view? Is it Android ID, Android text, Android layout width, or Android hint? And we're putting 10 seconds back up on the clock. See who gets it. No Google searches. This is a tough one. We're getting tougher as they go. So correct answer is Android hint is not an attribute of text view. And our next one is a TensorFlow question. So for those of you into the MLAI stuff, we have in a neural network, which of the following strategies is used to deal with overfitting in TensorFlow? Is it dropout, regularization, batch normalization, or D, all the above? We got 10 seconds back up on the clock. Lock in your answers as soon as you know it. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's see who got D, all the above is the correct answer. So all of these are great strategies. And our final question is a Google Cloud question. So which of the following network tools protects apps from distributed denial of service attacks? Is it Google Cloud Defender, Google Cloud Destroyer, Google Cloud Shield, or Google Cloud Armor? And we got our 10 seconds back up on the clock. Let's see who gets it. These are getting harder, I know, folks. So very excited to see who gets all of these right. And 10 seconds is up. And it is Google Cloud Armor is what helps protect against DDoS attacks. And so thank you all for playing today with the Alon in the trivia. Don't forget to hop over and collect your DSC Solution Challenge attendee badge over on this link. And stay tuned for more demos coming up. Excited to have all of you here. Cheers.
Great. So thank you so much, Kyle. It was so great to see the trivia. I only got one right, so I need to brush up on some of my knowledge there. But thanks so much, Kyle. So next up, we are going to be introducing the team called Worthy Walk. They built an app called Worthy Walk, and they're based in Pakistan. It's really cool. It definitely encourages people to have a bit more fitness and gives people incentives. So I definitely need that right now these days. So I would love to use an app like this. So we also have Kat from the Android team who's going to be joining us again to ask the team a couple of questions. So let's take a look at those demos.
From the past few years, Pakistanis have forgotten how important this daily walk is, due to which the disease pattern is gaining its huge changeover from acute, specifically in South Asia where malnutrition is given its due attention. But the emerging epidemic of obesity tends to overlook, where it causes 2 million people deaths every year globally. Having said that, there is another issue faced by our local businesses where they are having trouble reaching out to their potential customers. So to help these people out and to bring these death numbers down, we have developed an application called Worthy Walk.
Worthy Walk incentivizes each and every single step you take for yourself with some amazing rewards with the collaboration of different businesses and brands. And for the gamifical unit, a leaderboard where users can compete for an amazing prizes provided by different local sponsors. We launched this application back in December 2019, and here are some of the users' feedback.
So Worthy Walk kept motivating me to walk, by its leaderboard there are people who are trying to compete with each other. So I also tried to compete and I won on a bonus. I lost a lot of weight and won in air odds. So it's a win-win situation. It's very easy to use and I highly recommend you guys to try it.
Hi, team. Hi, Team Worthy Walk. So great to see you here. I know calling in all the way from Pakistan. So happy to have you here with us. How are you all doing?
We're great.
Good. Great. Good to hear. And we have Kat, who's joining us again from the Android team. How's it going, Kat?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. Yeah, I know you have. You took a deeper look at the project and had a couple questions. So I'll pass it over to you.
Yeah, so congratulations. Great job on the app. I love the video and the testimonial that you included. And I really like how at the heart of the app, you're trying to encourage a healthy habit and also providing users with incentives and a leaderboard to get them motivated. So I'd love to know more about how you got the businesses involved. What was it like approaching these businesses and what's your strategy going forward?
Yeah, so thank you so much for asking this question because, at Worthy Walk, the one thing that we were very much excited about was that how we are incentivizing each and every walk of the user. So for that, when we first launched this application back in December 2019, so we identified that our major user base is youth and students in general. So we looked for brands that can reward students with tremendous discounts and deals. And so we were very much focused in bringing local brands that are just entering the market so that we can provide them marketing and promotions through our social media platforms or application or website as well. And the other thing that worked for us was the CSR. And CSR is basically the corporate social responsibility, which is nothing but a regulation that a brand has to agree to take part and contribute in this venture as a charity nature. So, which is, in turn, allows them to build a positive brand around themselves. And I think for the future, we are, very much open for, the paid promotions through promo codes and the ad banners so that we can, use this idea for our monetary benefits as well.
That's great. It sounds like you're building a whole ecosystem, and it's win-win for the users as well as for the businesses. So definitely. Great. So I'd love to know more about the technical details of the app. Was there certain parts of the Android platform that made it easier to build, or were there certain parts where it was more challenging and you had to maybe implement something custom?
Okay. We actually mentioned that we have a leaderboard in our application as well. So to keep that in mind, we actually have to take care that this leaderboard shouldn't be fair enough for every single country, that no one can actually prove our technology. So to deal with this challenge, we actually have to use different.
And it's a bit hard to hear you. Sorry about that. If you could talk into the mic a bit more. Yeah, I think that's.
Hello.
Hi, we can hear you. Thanks.
Okay. Okay. So keeping that in mind that we have a leaderboard as well. So what we actually did, we to keep this in mind, we actually have to see if competitors don't spoof our technology. So what we did, we actually use different sensors. We use GPS, we use accelerometer that no one can that we can actually verify if a person is walking and covering some distance as well. So we use this technology. Obviously, to use this technology, we have to write a custom code as well. We have to set thresholds for a human being to walk, and we use different ratios as well to check if how perfect the walk was. So yeah, we did this. We actually, this was the most challenging part, that we actually have to make this leaderboard as fair as possible. We used a Firebase as well, which was pretty easier to use, and it was really easy to use. And yeah, these were the technologies.
Great to hear that insight. And yeah, it sounds like the part that you had a custom implementation for is going to be really a unique differentiator for your app.
Great. So now let's take a live question. We're going to pull from the live chat. How did you test your app in the real world?
Okay, so actually we launched this application back in December 2019. Before that, we didn't test it well, but the first 3 months, we actually launched this as a beta version of this application. So what we did, we launched this application from our university, the Fars University, Pakistan. We actually launched this application first in our university, and we actually encouraged every student to use this application and tell us what are the problems you guys are facing, and what should be added or what should be fixed. So for the first 3 months, it was hard to do because people were actually texting, this is missing, and you can actually add this, and we got a lot of feedback as well. So yeah, we tested this application back in December 2019 for the first 3 months.
Great, and I see that you must have improved the app a lot. You have really great ratings on Google Play, so congrats for that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's great that you've launched and people are using the app, and it's helping people stay fit. So that's really good to see. Great. So thank you so much for joining us and talking to us more about your project Worthy Walk, and really appreciate you being here with us. And Kat, thank you so much for joining us for the last couple of projects.
Of course. It was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Great. So next up, we are going to be welcoming a team from India, a MiCamp. They're going to be sharing more about their university-specific project. So you'll see a bit more. It's basically a one-stop shop. So Praveen will be sharing more about his project, and we're going to be joined by Todd on the Firebase team, who's going to ask him a couple questions. So let's check out MiCamp.
Hello everyone. This side Praveen Agrawal, DSC core team member. Actually, the problem is colleges or campuses lacks a platform where they can connect all the students together, irrespective of the stream or branch. They can provide all the services online present in the campus, like issuing an online gate pass, issuing a book from library, downloading study material shared by teachers, or be it participating in the upcoming event. Online order at canteens, buy and sell for old items, lost and found feature. Like if someone lost their ATM during the event, then it will be easier for him to find it by posting it out on our portal. So now let's speak about the main problem we solve, is to connect all the students irrespective of their stream by using our platform. Like in an engineering college, you can see the students according to their skills: Android developers, machine learning enthusiasts, web developers, etc. If a student is working on an Android project and need a guidance of any senior, then it will be difficult for him to find the good Android developer who should support him. So here students can get the details of all the Android developers along with their details of projects and internships, etc. So it will be easier for him to pick a good senior. So then they can interact with them and get a support or the guidance on their project. It's not a like college app in which we are providing services, but a platform to connect all the students from different colleges together. In the bigger picture, it can make a big impact on all the students from all across the country. Now let's take an example of the impact we create. Let's say a student from college NIT Jalandhar wishes to participate in e-summit of IIT Delhi. Then it will be easier for him to get all the services using the same app he was using in his college for event registration, for college map, or to interact with some Android developers. So that's all from our side and would make a great impact with our solution, which is the need of the society at the present time.
right, so we're back. Hello. And
Hello.
Good to see you, Todd. And we have Praveen from MiCamp in India. So we're so excited to have you. How are you doing, Praveen?
Yeah, great.
Good.
I'm really great. And nice.
Great. Yeah. It's so good to be here with you. And hi, Todd. How's it going?
Hi, it's going well. I'm glad to be here. Glad to see all the great student projects. Do I look this way? No, I look this way to look like I'm looking at you.
We'll say hello.
Hello.
Good day. Great. So we'd love for you to introduce yourself and get to know you a bit better, and then hear any questions you have for Praveen.
Yeah, well, I'll introduce myself real quick. Hi, I'm Todd Kirpelman. I am a developer advocate on the Firebase team, which you can see over my shoulder here. Oh, other shoulder. There we go. We make products that make it easier for developers to build better apps, like MiCamp. So I was going to talk to the MiCamp team. I say team, but there's actually only one of you who did this entire thing all by yourself, which I think is incredibly impressive. So I want to ask Praveen, what was sort of the initial problem that you noticed at your university that inspired you to create this app in the first place?
Yeah, really. If we talk about the inspiration, so it will be really, it all started when I got into the college. So when I got into the college, I see a lot of difficulties. Like from the first thing, when I got there, difficulty about finding the right places, about finding the classes where it is and not getting the map correctly, and getting the lack of proper information flow, like when this will be event conducted, and who is the right senior whom to connect. Like if I have an interest in Android development, so from whom I can seek guidance. So like lots of students were there, like who were complaining about the things, like we don't have these things in our institute and we have lost this thing. So how to find it, making connections. So I give it a try. Like, why not make an app where we can find all the solutions for our campus? And instead of complaining about the things, why not solve it ourselves? So just change the system. Don't complain about the things and solve it yourself. So that was the really a motivation and the inspiration behind the idea.
I really like that attitude. I wish more people had that attitude. I was going to ask, like, what parts of your app were maybe more successful or more popular than you expected, or less popular? Like, what user feedback kind of surprised you when you sort of tested this amongst your friends and students?
Yeah, actually, when we launched the beta version of it in our college, so we received a lot of feedbacks, and the most popular one was the networking part. So when students get stuck somewhere in their project, they need the guidance of any senior. But actually because of the ragging and those issues, there were very less interactions with the seniors. So when we launched this app, so users were getting the list of all the users in their college whom to connect. And they were like, if they are working on an Android project, then they can see the list of all the Android developers in their college. So they can send a friend request to them, check out their projects, where they are doing the internship, and they can take the guidance of them. So it was the most popular part of our app, and the users were really appreciating that. But if we talk about the less popular, these were really like...
What we got? I missed a little bit of the end there. Maybe he didn't want to talk about the less popular stuff.
Yeah.
Praveen, are you still there? Can you hear me? We have had a couple of networking issues. Hopefully he'll be able to hear us and rejoin with the audio fairly soon, because I want to find out more about the app, and maybe if he was using Firebase. I'm hoping, because I got the sweater out. I don't want to get out the sweater out for nothing.
That's a great sweater.
Thank you. It's it's remarkably warm, which I guess is what you're supposed to be doing for a Christmas sweater or a holiday sweater. We got this originally for a video that we all made, and so they're limited edition. People keep asking where they can get one, and at some point maybe we'll just set up a storefront where we can sell sweaters, because that's a business I know that Google has been looking to get into, is apparel and retail, and I think branded Firebase sweaters are sort of our big hot initial foray into that area.
I totally agree.
Right?
I think people will love it.
I think so. Like we're looking to get, find a few social media influencers to, show off do their latest dances when in fire-based sweaters. That's kind of our long-term plan. I shouldn't be giving away too much of our company's long-term strategy, but it's mostly that, along with maybe adding a few services to make it easier to develop apps. So with all that, Praveen, are you able to hear us now? Yeah,
Okay.
unfortunately. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we can move on to the next team. So thank you so much, Praveen, for sharing more about MiCamp. It's amazing that you built this all by yourself. It was great to hear about it.
It's a lot of capabilities into one app. I was very impressed when I looked at everything that he was able to put in there. It was really impressive.
Definitely. Great. Well, so thank you so much. And we're going to move on to the next project team. And Todd, don't go too far. You're going to be sticking around with this next project. So let's get to know the next team. Awesome. So next up, we have the Emergency Response Assistant project. This is in Ghana. And we also have Todd joining us to ask a couple more questions. So let's play the demo.
Emergencies, although can be managed, are inevitable in our everyday activities. The effort of managing them has given birth to a major problem in our communities. The general public is so ignorant about emergency cases and the appropriate first aid procedures. Few emergency cases are reported to the emergency response team. Even if cases are reported to the emergency response team, they find a difficulty in locating the victims. The government and health authority is spending a lot of resources to address this problem. Is there a better solution to this problem? Emergency response assistance is a two-way system approach to solve the critical problems associated with the current emergency response system in Ghana. When there is an emergency in your homes, school, work or public area, all you have to do is report your case. Health authorities will receive your report with your exact location and respond to you. Location routes are generated for the health authorities if there is a need to get there to the victim in person. With just a click of a button, a life can be saved. The system allows health authorities to publish health tips and first aid procedures.
Hi, it's great to see you. Project Emergency Response.
Hi.
Calling in from Ghana. Great. How are you all doing?
Yeah, fine.
Great.
Good. Great. And we have Todd joining us as well. How's it
I'm
going?
still
Todd?
here. It's going
Good.
great.
Hello, Kyle.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
So I'm just going to get started with the questions, if that's okay. I wanted to ask the team, because I hear this is sort of an interesting story. What inspired you to create this app in the first place?
Okay, Kyle. I'm Yao from Kumerica, Ghana. So the inspiration behind our project is a very personal experience that we went through. One of our mates, who is actually part of this team that developed this particular solution, was bitten by a snake on campus. So we were about 5 with him then, but almost everybody around didn't have any knowledge about snake bite first aid or first aid for snake bites. Right? So we decided to call the emergency response teams for assistance. But what happened was the links and the medium of communication that we were going to use with them were all busy or wasn't going through. So we were like, wow, we had to carry our friend from campus to a nearby institution or a nearby hospital. Right. So after the ordeal, what we decided, it was also a nearly fatal experience, but God being so good, we are here. So after the ordeal, what we decided to do is we decided to come and investigate and see whether we were the only ones who went through that particular problem or that particular experience. But we were shocked to see that almost 90% or almost everybody that we questioned had gone through that particular experience before. So we decided that why don't we build a particular solution or a solution to counter this particular problem? So that's basically our inspiration behind this project. And it was very strong to get us going. Yeah, thank you.
Wow, that is the story. So your teammate who was bitten by a snake, is he okay? Everything's good?
Yeah, he's okay. He's actually a prince.
All right. And your leg is good? You're feeling okay now?
Yeah, I'm good.
Excellent. So I wanted to ask, like you said that few cases are even reported to like emergency response teams. You mentioned that in your video. So why is that? Is it just because the system gets overwhelmed?
Yeah. So what has actually happened is mostly when people get in emergency cases and report to the emergency response team or try getting in contact with the emergency response team and they don't get answers or the emergency response team fail to locate them based on the location description the victims give. No, it has happened for a long time. So what people do actually now is they don't try to even contact the emergency systems, the emergency response teams anymore. They try to find their own means to solve their emergencies. That is why there have been few cases that has been reported to the emergency systems.
Gotcha. Okay, and that's obviously something you're looking to change with this app. So have you shown a demo of your app to any sort of organizations or emergency services in your area, and what's been their reaction?
Okay, so we were very fortunate to have a clinic in our university. We communicated the basic idea to them and they were very interested. They really helped us in the development of the system. And when the system was a state that was presentable, we presented it to the Red Cross Society on our campus. And they were also very interested and they have given us the green light that if we are ready, we can bring the system to them and they will introduce us to the National Red Cross Society too. And also we contacted 2 hospitals and they are also ready to receive our proposal for the implementation of this system in our country. And we are very excited about that. And we are also working harder and harder to see this solution implemented. Thank you.
Wow, that's very exciting. I did want to ask one technical question. Since I do have the sweater, can you tell me how Firebase is incorporated into your app? Like what parts did Firebase hopefully make easier, and maybe what parts were challenging still?
Okay, so after the design of the system, we looked at the architecture and it was like, wow, this is very complex. But it was very fortunate that we have heard about Firebase, so we reached out to the actually this is the first that was the first time I used Firebase, and it was very easy to learn. It wasn't that complicated. You just have to do so many things with just a little code, and it was very interesting. We used the Firebase Firestore for real-time data processing. You see, emergencies have to be processed in real time, and Firebase Firestore was there for us for authentication. Firebase authentication was there, and we needed to send notifications to the health authorities too, and that too. Firebase messaging tool was there, so it was like we didn't have to worry about any backend complexities and other things. All was there for us in Firebase, and we are really, really excited. We really love Firebase, and that has even encouraged us to use Firebase in many projects now, and we are using it. Our institution is using it now for our course registration, and it is going well.
That's great. That's great to hear.
Great. Let's take a question from the live chat. How does the application detect fraud complaints?
Okay, so currently the application is still in kind of a beta mode, right? But we use the file-based authentication, so it hasn't been actually deployed to the wide public right now. We are testing it with some volunteers that we have in the WhatsApp group and the health officials that we've contacted. So basically, what we do now to detect fraud complaint is because we authenticate users using their emails, right? So we actually are hoping that users, because their information in the app is special to them, they wouldn't report fraudulent. They wouldn't send fraudulent complaints to the health authorities because they know their location and their personal information are also being sent as part of the report. So we are hoping that users will stay put to it, but it is currently in a beta testing environment. So as we go on, we have plans in adding a lot of systems or a lot of other stuff to make fraud detection very simple for us.
Okay.
That sounds great. Do you have time for one more question, or do we have to move on?
We do have to move on, unfortunately. I wanted to hear more, but it was really cool hearing about your project. Thanks for all your great work on that.
Yeah, thanks so much for sharing with us. It was really interesting.
Yes.
And thank you,
Thank you
Todd,
very much,
for being
Kyle.
with us for the last couple projects.
Oh, sure. Happy to be here.
Great. Sounds good. And hopefully I'll see you in person with that sweater on around Christmas time. So
That would be fantastic. I'll make a trip.
yeah, sounds good.
All
Great.
right.
Thank you so much, team, and great to see you all. Thanks for sharing your projects with us.
Yeah, you're welcome. We love you all.
Oh, we love you too.
We love you too. That's so nice.
Aww.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye, team. Great. And so next up, we're going to welcome the team from Germany. They worked on a project called Free Speak, and they're going to be sharing more about, essentially, it's a project that helps people with their public speaking skills and is using machine learning. So it's super cool. And I wish I had used this before I spoke to all of you today to make sure that my body language is working out. So I'm really excited to see this project. And we also have special guest Lawrence from the TensorFlow team who's going to be asking them a couple questions. So let's take a look at the project.
Giving a good presentation is really hard. Now imagine this. You are currently in a selection interview for a really big company. You have 2 minutes in which you have to present yourself. 2 minutes that will decide if you will get approved to the company of your dreams or rejected. One presentation that can have a big impact in the future. When we looked around at our local university, we noticed something. Many tutors or people giving presentations have one thing in common. They know a lot and can provide lots of knowledge, but oftentimes the audience just falls asleep. We have asked experts in the field of rhetoric and communication, and what we have learned is that many people focus on improving their content, but they forget one of the most important aspects of presentation: body language and emotions. Now, a presentation without proper body language and emotions is like food without proper seasoning. The problem is that our current education system just doesn't teach us such important soft skills. Getting professional soft skill training is really rare to find and really expensive. We wanted to change this.
We created a software that records a presentation, analyzes it, and gives personalized individual feedback and tips to improve your presentation. Using Google Speech API and Google Cloud Sentiment Analysis, we can analyze data about the talking speed, the recognized emotions in your voice, or the content of your speech. With TensorFlow, we can use machine learning to analyze the body language and facial and emotional expressions in the video. In the future, we could add individual training exercises or analyze more aspects of a good presentation. And with today's technical advancements, the possibilities are endless.
Hello. Hi, Team Free Speak.
Hello.
Dialing in all the way
Hi.
from Germany. Hi, how are you doing?
Great.
Great. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
And we're joined by Lawrence as well from Google. Lawrence, good to see you. How are you doing?
Good to see you too. I'm doing great. I'm really glad that I'm towards the end of the day. So it's like I've gotten to see all these projects all day, and they're just absolutely amazing. It's so inspirational to see.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm so inspired. So yeah, we'd love for you to introduce yourself. And I know you took a look at the project, so I'd love to hear more.
I'm Lawrence. I work on the Google Brain, Google Research into Machine Intelligence team. I lead AI advocacy there. So I work very closely with TensorFlow and with researchers in TensorFlow and like what people are doing around the world with TensorFlow. And so I'm just really delighted to be here to see a couple of these projects that have used our technology to just build amazing stuff. I don't have a cool sweater behind me like Todd though, so I'm just going to have like a boring background.
That's fine. You have your jacket, so all good.
Yeah, I got my jacket, so yeah.
Nice. Great. So I'll pass it over to you.
So Team FreeSpeak, I do a lot of presentations myself, and I wished I'd had something like this when I was learning how to do them. So just congratulations on the amazing work. And I have so many questions that I'd like to ask, but we've only got time for a couple. So I'm going to just dive right in. And one of the things that really impressed me about this project was the fact that you use multiple machine learning models. Right? You have the object detection, you have emotional sentiment, you have text sentiment. How was it to try and orchestrate all of these together to really build a solution?
So, yeah, I would like to answer that question. Yeah, you're right. We have many different models. And with models, I mean that we have many different features. And like you already mentioned, our features are, for example, hand detection or facial expression recognition, voice emotion recognition, and so on. In each of our features, use a different model. And of course, tying all of them up in one single program was a really big challenge for us, even the hardest one during our project. And to tie everything up into one program, we used multi-threading. And we have chosen multi-threading because some of our features, such as hand detection or face expression recognition or speaking speed measurement and so on, had to run in parallel. And of course, multi-threading is like the best choice. But multi-threading can get very complicated, especially if there are many features that have to work in parallel. So our program sometimes crashed. And we are sure that it crashed because of multi-threading, because we tested each of our features in many different ways, independently from one another. And we also adjusted the code in our program, and those features were working perfectly. Also, for some of our features, we used pre-trained models such as text sentiment analysis or speech recognition from Google Cloud. So of course, those features were working without any problems. So to sum up, our features are working without any problems or major mistakes. So the biggest challenge was tying them up, like I already said. But even if multi-threading was really hard for us, we had a great opportunity to learn more about it and also machine learning. And we had a lot of fun with it and we got nice experience. So in the end, we could manage to fix all the issues by trying out some workarounds and also simplifying our program.
Well, I'm really glad you had fun with it. I'm happy to hear that part. And to me, I really think the future of great AI apps are where you have specialized models and you're building something that orchestrates them together instead of trying to build a great big unified model. And that was something that really stood out in your project, how you did that. So that was really, really cool. But one more question I have on it is that one of the things that you're doing is like you're measuring people's hand movements and sentiment in their face. And how did that work from like a training perspective with like different people's shapes and sizes? And, just people look different to each other, right? How was it for training models?
Yes, that's a great question. And so for our machine learning models, we used publicly available open source datasets because in our opinion, one of the hardest parts of machine learning is like getting good data because like good data is really a key to high accuracy of the model. And because the time of this challenge was limited, we wanted the best possible data in the shortest amount of time. And this is why we looked for already existing open source projects and the datasets which they used. So the benefit of this approach was that we found large datasets that already contained a huge variety of hands, faces, or different voices of many people. So for example, one dataset which we used was the RevDes dataset for voice emotion recognition. And it already contained over 7,000 audio files spoken by, I think, 24 different voice actors that mimic different emotions. And another example is the Oxford dataset, which is used for hand detection. And it even contains a over 10,000 different hand instances, and they already had their data separated into training and validation sets. So this is why we didn't have to tackle the problem of different shapes and sizes that much, because we already found large data sets with a huge variety of instances. But still, of course, there were some problems that we had to deal with. For example, positioning the camera or the lighting can indeed have an impact on the accuracy of our model. But this is something that we're still working on. And this is why we are also trying to make our models more robust.
Excellent, excellent work. Erica, I could talk about this project all day, but I know we have to take questions from other folks. So maybe we can take one from the YouTube now.
Sounds good. Yeah, let's see if there's a question from the live chat. Did you have any performance issues?
I would say yes, because starting up the project, the program could take like 1 minute, because like everything should be prepared, every model should be prepared and so on. So yeah, that was like also one of our biggest issues to deal with.
Yes, and another problem is maybe about going like public on mobile devices, for example, because it does indeed take a lot of computing power. So we might have to host them on different servers. But currently, when we are running them on our local computers, there's also, for example, the difference between running it on CPU or GPU. And surprisingly, for example, running on GPU even makes the startup time or the program a little bit slower, because it has to allocate the resources, and it takes quite a few minutes to load up.
So it's different on our computers. Like the project on my computer starts much faster than, for example, the project on Imo's computer.
We know who has the nice computer.
Great. Well, thank you so much for sharing with us. We do have to wrap up, unfortunately. I also want to hear more. We could talk about this project for a long time, but great work on this. Thank you so much for joining us. And also thank you to Lawrence for being here with us, and he'll be sticking around for the next project, but great work, Free Speak team. Awesome.
Thank you so much. Amazing project.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Great. So next up, we have our final project, the 10th of the 10 projects that we're going to be sharing with you today. And so this is the CoronAI project. They are based in the US at UC Berkeley. And so really excited to see what they built here. It's a really cool project. So I'll let you take a look. And Lawrence will be joining us again to ask the team a couple of questions. So let's take a look at the demo.
CoronAI, creating technology for change, because it is time to create technology that helps our doctors. What we did was create a band filled with electrodes that, once put on a patient's chest, creates images that can then connect to a computer screen for easy access. This computer screen can easily be connected to any dashboard that is accessible by a doctor, without the doctor having to be in the same room. Our solution provides doctors with a mechanism that allows them to detect which patient is in a more severe condition and how to allocate their resources efficiently. Our machine gives instantaneous results, is portable, and is much, much cheaper compared to the existing methodologies today. This concept is based on electrical impedance tomography. What this does is it creates a tomographic image because of the intersection points of the different electrodes. As you can see, each red circle in this image is one electrode that emits a tiny small amount of current, because of which there is an equipotential change that all the other electrodes face, and at each intersection then comes together to form a tomographic image. Coupled with our machine learning algorithms, this image is then turned into a 3D illustration of the human lung. With this information, we are able to extract what the lungs look like when the patient is breathing, and therefore are able to detect what parts of the lung are affected and any progress in the patient's condition based on the scan from the previous day and the scan that's been done today. Doctors no longer need to bring patients out of their wards and take them to do a CT scan, and now they too can practice social distancing. It's time to use technology to help the doctors and nurses who are working so hard to help us. It's time for CoronAI.
Hi team CoronAI. Good to see you.
Hello.
So great to see you. Very well.
Great.
Good. Great. That's great to hear. And we also have Lawrence, who's stuck around with us and wants to ask you a couple questions about your project. So I'll pass it over to him.
Yeah, so when Erica asked us to tweet about this thing, and I tweeted that one of the projects blew my mind, and it was this project. So I just want to say congratulations, CoronAI. I'm so happy to be here, and it's a real privilege to actually be able to ask you questions about it. So I'm just going to get right down to it. I loved how you explained the tomography, and you built these devices, and how many of them did you need, and how did you build them?
So first of all, thank you for saying that. That was great for us to hear. So unfortunately, or should I say fortunately, our solution was developed while we were in lockdown. And so because of that, we built our first prototype using the nerdy engineering tools that the three of us had together. So that was Raspberry Pis, numerous random sensors, one Velcro strip, and some basic electrodes. So in total, using this equipment, if I can call it that, we were able to develop 5 initial devices, which we then used for testing and demo purposes.
The cloud technology was the most thoroughly developed. Since the lockdown got nothing on the cloud services, using the Google Cloud product and TensorFlow library with Keras, we trained and tested our models at home on the Google Cloud Collab, which provided us with a lot of resources, also the GPUs. And next we demoed it on one of our team members, which is Neil.
Yeah, aside from being the guinea pig who was tested on, I was also in charge of fabricating these materials and assembling the hardware, which Anupam and Anushka had gathered. And actually, by using those tools, we could be able to make it small, compact, and easy to use.
And Neil, your acting skills in the video were fabulous. It's Oscar-worthy stuff. And by the way, I got a ton of old Raspberry Pis and equipment lying in the closet behind me here. Can you guys come around and build me a medical scanner out of it?
Right after COVID, we're there.
And then one other question that I had when I was looking at the video and looking at the project was really about the training data that you use, because you were able to use training data and you're able to build these sensors and then turn that into visualizations. So how were you able to convert the readings from the sensors into those visualizations, and how did you train a model around that?
Yeah, for sure. So with my background in electrical impedance tomography, I was already aware actually that the technology is able to produce these black and white 2-dimensional images, and that, in the human body, biological compositions are arranged such that any phenomena appears either clustered or varying over space. So this is what we did with 8 electrodes. We used each one and had it send small frequency pulses, and then we measured the equipotential differences experienced by each alternate electrode. And then we created a bunch of back projection algorithms, which we applied to this to generate a 3D bioimage of the scanned human body parts inner structure. So in Neil's case, it was his lungs. This technology is non-invasive, radiation-free, and most importantly, real-time, which of the 3 of us, Neil was the most thankful for.
Yeah. Also adding to that, the images were reconstructed using the OpenEIT library in Python, and we used around 8 electrodes at a frequency of around 50 cycles per second. So basically 50 times, it's been calculated every second, 50 times. Using the techniques of photogrammetry, we were able to construct the 3D model with the high impedance value in the lungs representing the red and the low impedance value representing the blue color, thus creating a heat map out of that. Once we had the final representation ready, we did a classification using the convolutional neural network.
Yeah, as Anupam said that we used 16 electrodes and 50 cycles per second. So that says that our technology was around 94% accurate with the results, as the data sets that we were using were the MRI scanned images and the heat map images of lungs from the hospitals and data that we got. So around 550 images were used to train the data sets. And we also had some consulting and mentors in biotechnological field who gave us a feedback. And he was surely from Harvard Medical School, who actually helped us out with the whole thing.
Nice. So just fabulous work. Please keep pushing it forward and productize this. I think the world needs more and more things like this. So I'm so impressed. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations. Yeah, but we're going to pull in a live chat. Let's see what everyone watching has to ask. So one question is, how is it different from other technologies in hospitals?
That's an amazing question. And we had that question as well. What can we 3 students do that'll be better than something that's in hospitals? And we realized that sometimes everything great is usually expensive, and that might not be the best thing. So the machines in hospitals like MRI scans and CT scans, they're very bulky, they're not portable, and they're limited. Because of that, there was often a very long waiting time for a patient to actually be able to get a scan. And we wanted to change that. We wanted to add in an intermediary where patients can get medical screening done so that their conditions don't deteriorate while they're waiting for getting a scan done.
Right. Just adding a point over that, as we also know, in COVID times, it's also very difficult for doctors to actually interact with the patients. And just to make it more easy to use, we came up with this band that they could use on their chest, and that can be used by the patients themselves to just monitor their own health conditions. And that was one of the reasons why we actually integrated it with a band.
That's great. Thank you so much for sharing your project with us. We just loved checking this project out, watching your demo, see what you build. We really want to see what's next. And really appreciate you being with us here. And thank you so much, Lawrence, for joining us as well.
Oh, the pleasure was all mine. This was amazing. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Peace. Good to see you.
Thanks
so much. Great. So hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for this awesome journey. It was really cool to see all of the 10 projects, the 10 teams sharing their project journeys with us, from the process to the actual project itself. So I really enjoyed being a part of that journey. And it was cool to see projects from all over the world, Zimbabwe to Ghana to California, US. I really enjoyed being a part of that experience. So now we do want to hear from some of the project teams directly if they have any tips for student developers out there who are working on projects or may be inspired after today to get started on a project right away. So I do want to play that video so you can get a sense of, what are some of the tips from the teams that you just heard from. So let's take a listen.
What I tried to do for myself was step out of my comfort zone and learn about technologies that I wasn't familiar with.
As a developer, do not think about the clean or perfect codes. Think about the best solution to the worst problems.
Never forget to refine the project, and if you encounter some problems, just try to look for already existing solutions on the internet that can really save some of your time.
For being a great developer, keep going and never give up. Explore various new technologies and keep them in mind while using.
Keep learning and never be afraid of failure.
Have good time management and do research whenever you can.
Pay attention to people that most don't get to care and listen to their stories.
Start making your own project by validate the user needs.
Anything you develop, don't dump it on any site. Instead, plan, develop, and deploy.
By attending and fully utilizing all the DSC workshops, study gyms, code labs, as well as asking questions from the larger Google developer community, you can surely build anything and for everyone.
Great. I really enjoyed hearing some of those tips. I totally agree. Keep learning and don't be afraid of failure. And also, listening to stories, listening to user needs, that's all very important. And the teams today did that. So thank you so much for sharing those tips. And I want to say thank you to the 10 teams that just shared their projects with us, answered questions. I'd also love to thank the Googlers from the different technology teams who joined us to ask the teams questions. So thank you for that. And I also want to thank all of you, everybody who joined us for this event today and were a part of the experience, asking questions. Thank you so much for being with us. And I do want to remind you you, for all of you who are listening, that you can claim your badge. So you can see that here. And basically, this is on the Google Developers profile page where you can create a profile and grab a badge for being an attendee today. And you can also get badges for starting a learning pathway and also for Code Lab. So we're going to add that in the chat right now, so you can get your badge. And I really want to thank you for being a part of this today, watching these projects. And we encourage you to join the Solution Challenge next year, 2021, which is going to be announced in January. And so we'd love to see your projects showcased live again like this next year. And if you are a university student, I encourage you to join a developer student club in your area. And this is a link where you can learn more. And as I mentioned, I hope to see your project next year. And so thank you all again for joining us, and see you all at the 2021 Solution Challenge. Thanks, everyone. Bye.